Lilith has just released a brand new crystal tech tree, and today we're going to dive into it to figure out if they've finally fixed crystal tech or if they've just made it more pay to win. Join me to learn more. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Shappy. I'm a sponsored Rise of Kingdoms content creator, as well as sponsored for a couple other games. But today we are talking all about crystal tech. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. Nice to have you. But if you're old, you may remember this video on the top right corner where I went into an insane rant talking all about crystal tech, why it's a problem, how they needed to fix it, how it completely spreads the gap between free to play and pay to win. And I even did a little bit of mathematical analysis behind it. I know, unusual for the Shappy Gaming channel, but I did, really just to get down to the point that it's not fair. It's not fair as it is today because A, if you don't buy any bundles, you really can't get very far. And then sure, you can go ahead and chain and do all that stuff, but realistically, it puts you at a huge disadvantage. And part of that is that the crystal tech that we have in game has a lot of restrictions, such that if I wanted to move ahead from this tier right here, I actually needed to max out this siege tech. Now, some people might want to run siege. Siege are starting to become pretty viable. In fact, you might want to run siege instead of archers. But I had to go ahead and invest in this technology in order to move forward some of these other techs like skillful operations and call to arms, etc. And a lot of players brought this up to Lilith and said, Lilith, guys, this is a problem. This doesn't work. It's not fair. People are investing in technologies that they're going to see no value from. So Lilith said, okay, guys, we understand. We're going to make a change. And boy, did they make a change. But is it a good change? That's up to us to decide. So there was some major news that came out yesterday on the Lilith YouTube channel. I'll link it in the comment section below. It's the Rise of Kingdoms official, so we know it's legit. There's still some more info that we don't quite know just yet, but I feel confident that we could go in and actually make a conclusion as to whether these changes are good or not so good. So let's stop talking about it and let's just take a look. So here is a quick look at the new crystal tech tree. So the crystal tech tree starts out just about the same, right? You have all of your 4 techs. However, there's a big difference here. You don't have to invest in all of them. Whereas in the current crystal tech tree, if I pull it up, the way these first 4 techs work are such that you have to max all 4 in order to move forward to swift marching. The new one is not like that. So you can actually invest in march speed for all troops individually. So that's what they've changed here. Is whereas before you just had 1 march speed tech, now you have more march speed techs. And I have some feelings about this, and I'll get into that. But what this means is if you're running just infantry, your crystal tech order has just gotten so much easier because now you're just going to do quench blades and then you're going to do swift marching and you're easy off to the races. The other thing here is you can probably balance out your march speed across all of your different troops types. And I'm not sure how impactful the swift marching is going to be. As of right now, it only really offers the 5% for march speed in the game. But if we're just taking a look at this, there's the potential for you to increase your march speed of your archers and infantry, whereas not increasing it for cavalry, because why would you waste your crystal on that? So you can actually try and balance out your marches a little bit, which personally I really appreciate, and I haven't seen anyone else call out just yet. So what else did they do? They've moved call to arms way up, and this was a huge request. To level set, here's where call to arms is now, right? You've got your first military tech trees. You've got all your treaties, skillful operations, all that. Attack formation, you have to go through attack formation. Then you have mounted combat techniques. Then you have swift marching. Then you have call to arms 1, all the way down here in the tree. What this meant was for free-to-play players, you're at a major disadvantage just out of the gate because you have fewer troops on the field. But Chappy, how does fewer troops on the field actually impact me? Well, the attack formula for how you deal damage is actually a multiplier of the number of troops on the field times your attack stat. And then it's divided by defense and health. If you missed the video I did with Belect on this, it's on the top right. It walks through all the different stats and why different things matter. But the reason that this is valuable, as we talk about it here, is what this means is you're actually going to be able to get more damage output out of your troops a lot sooner, which is really, really impactful. In fact, I would go for call to arms over attack stats a lot of the time. So they've moved call to arms up, and now they have a couple other things. They have cutting corners, cultural exchange, and leadership 1. Well, this is interesting. Cutting corners is a technology that we haven't seen before. However, it looks a whole lot like skillful operation. So I'm wondering if they've combined some of the skillful operation tech into this new cutting corners tech, or if they've simply just renamed it. As you guys may know, skillful operation decreases your crystal cost, which is good. And ideally, we would have that in the new tech tree as well. So nothing groundbreaking there. Cultural exchange is going to help you actually get increased favor as it does today with the different bastions, which is critical. But what's interesting here is in this new tree, we do see treaties move further back, or we don't see it at all. So we'll click through and see, but treaties is how you get more crystal from those bastion quests. So if they've removed that, they've actually made crystal harder to come by, which gives you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of some of my early concerns. Leadership, I believe, is going to be rally speed or rally size. Then we have barbarian bounties, nothing new here, and then call to arms 2. This is crazy. They've now made it so you can essentially get all of your unit capacity before you even get to the fact that you have your second set of troop buffs. So this is, I think, a really good change. I'm pumped to see this here. I think it's going to be majorly impactful. But what we're seeing here is you actually do probably need to get call to arms up to at least some level before you can move forward onto some of these other technologies, which means Lilith actually wants you to have more troops in the field. Now you may be wondering, well, why? I think it's pretty obvious. The more troops you have in the field, the more severely wounded you can take. The more severely wounded you can take, the more resources you need to heal. The more resources you need to heal, the more speed ups you have to spend too. Big brain thinking, Lilith. I see you. Karaku reports, barbarian bounties, nothing new there. And yeah, there we have our skillful number 2, which is cutting corners number 2. I don't know why they renamed it. It's fine. But this is also going to reduce your crystal costs. So typically you're going to want to invest in those before anything else. If you're new to the channel, do hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right-hand corner, because that is going to, make sure that you know when new videos come out from me, and also make sure that you don't miss it when I actually make a guide on how this new crystal tech tree is going to work for investment order. So now we finally got to our second set of attack stats, right? We've got quench blades, improved bows, nothing new here. What's interesting is this only goes up to level 5. So today in Rise of Kingdoms, the second set of attack stats goes up to level 10. So either they've decreased the attack stats you can get at this level, which I think they did because I'm pretty sure they split it all out, or they've now increased the cost and the bonus for each level. Not that big of a deal, but just something worth observing. So we have all of our attack stats, and now we get into some of the crazy stuff. So star metal shields. We've never seen this before, but we've seen something similar. So if we go into Rise of Kingdoms today, one of the things that you can see is if you go to your standard research, your academy, they have some interesting names for a lot of the defense stats. So you've got, scutum, pavis, plate armor, things like that. I am pretty sure that this is actually going to be defense stats. And defense stats in KVK are interesting because if we look at the multipliers, again, going back to that stats video, defense is significantly more impactful than most other stats, at least attack and march speed. So by giving you the ability to invest in defense, they're actually making it so you can make your army more tankier, but also make it so it lasts longer in the field, thus increasing your multipliers. So if it were me, what would I do? I'd invest in defense where my troops need it, because again, you want to bring your defense and health stats as close as possible. That's where you're going to get the most value from your multipliers. You can check those stats in your city hall, and that will actually show you how close you're getting. Some of your troops might need more defense. Some of them might not, right? Infantry may not need more defense. So just keep that in mind as you go through this investment order. To be honest, I think that it's good that they've added defense. I think it's going to help you be a little bit more tanky in the field. But what makes me nervous is really they've added a lot more tiers of tech. And I was going to sneak this in towards the end, but that's my biggest fear with this is they have added a lot more tiers of tech such that if you do want to max everything, which obviously we know the whales are, if you want to max everything, it's going to get really, really, really expensive. So just keep that in mind. And then, of course, we have March speed again. So now they have yet another split March speed. And again, this is for Lilith to get you to spend more crystals on some of these technologies if you plan on running multiple troop types. What this means is if it were me, I'd probably try and go down to two troop types if I'm a low spender, right? Just run some cavalry and some infantry. I think you could do that. Or if you just wanted to run range and be a little bit more particular about which techs you're going to invest in, you can do that too. So you can run, infantry, cavalry, range, but you're probably going to want to drop one of your core troop types if you're not going to be spending more. Then we get into larger camps. That's not that big of a deal. And then we have a couple of new technologies. Runecraft. So Runecraft is an interesting one. The idea behind it is it enables you to summon a rune to your city, which you can then grab to get buffs in battle. This is huge. I'm really glad they added this. I don't know about you guys, but I've had a number of times where I'm in battle and it's like, hey, can someone go and grab a rune for me and, bring my march and shepherd me back? Oh, what a pain. Glad that they've added this. I think it's valuable. And then we have Expanded Formation 1. So what's really important here is to remember that Expanded Formation 1 is one of the more senior technologies that exist. What do I mean by that? Well, if we go back to our crystal tech here, Expanded Formation 1 is pretty far along, such that you have to be spending a lot of crystals to get to that point. Now, I'm just cautioning a guess here. I think that at this point, for most players, you're going to be done. And that's going to be a problem because it's going to start getting expensive to move beyond this. That's just a suspicion. Maybe I'm wrong. I would love to be. The other thing is you notice Expanded Formations is not a blocking tech. It's not today either. So you could skip it if you want to. I just think that this is going to start becoming an obstacle from here on out. Just to level set. So, okay, we have Special Concoctions, which reduces healing costs. That's great too. And we have Emergency Support, which I think increases healing speed, which again, love. What a great addition. I'm really happy about it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Clearly, I'm a little bit biased, but that's just my take. And then Rapid Retreat. Rapid Retreat is awesome. Lilith actually highlights it later on in this video here. Let's pull that up. There's Runecraft. Rapid Retreat. Unlocks the ability to use gems to instantly return defeated troops to your city. So this will be helpful for like Kingsland, but for most players, it's going to be kind of not makes a lot of sense because you're probably not going to be wanting to spend gems, but we'll see how much it is. I could totally see it being like 100 gems to send one march home. So if you want to whale out, you can. If you don't want to whale out, you don't need to. But I like Rapid Retreat. I do think for the whales, it's going to mean that you can get a lot more damage output over time, which is going to be a big deal. So that's fine. We got that. And then we move on to some of the techs that make me really, really nervous. So we got Rapid Retreat, we've got Emergency Support, then we get here. Iron Infantry, Archer's Focus, Rider's Resilience, and Siege Provisions. These are hell stats. Some people said, I think that these are hell stats. And the problem with them is they're really deep within the tech tree, which means from a free-to-play player's perspective, these are probably going to be somewhat inaccessible. For a low spender, they're probably going to be somewhat inaccessible. Remember, these are past expanded armies, right? This is past the 6th March. That makes me a little nervous. We're going to have to see how it all shakes out. My recommendation to everyone, get these stats as soon as possible. Health, as we know, is the most valuable stat. Maybe cavalry needed a little bit less, but infantry and archers, you have to have this. Siege, this is actually going to be uber OP. So you want this. You want these stats. These are going to be the most important stats, and there are a level 10 of them for each. So I think this is an interesting addition because health stats are really hard to come by. And historically, the best way to get those health stats are actually going to be through things like equipments or armaments. And so being able to get those health stats through Crystal Tech is going to be a big deal. And I hope that low spenders are going to be able to get these stats, because if you're not, you're going to have a big problem. Because again, going back to the damage formula, the way the stats work in game are such that if you have high health, you take less damage. Which means if you're a low spender and you don't have this, right, A, you're taking more damage input, right, from the whales that have the higher health. But B, you're also dealing less damage to the whales because the whales will have all this tech maxed. And that's going to be a problem when we start talking about trades. This is the thing that gives me the most pause out of anything. And we do have kind of a history here when we look at how impactful these stats are going to be. It's going to be probably up to about 15%. Based on the stats that we have in game today, just going on pure levels, it's going to be about a bonus of 15% health, which is a lot, right? If we go ahead and we look at some of our units here, and we can actually see how our stats are today. So if we go over here, we're going to be able to see exactly how everything looks. Our infantry defense is 98%, and our infantry health is 59. In order to get the multiplier to work in my favor, I need to get that health stat up. Defense, whatever. But if I can get that health stat closer to the infantry defense stat, then I'm going to have a really nice multiplier. That means I deal more damage and take less damage. So just keep that in mind as you look at this tech tree. Some of these things are better than others. But this is a big fire alarm for me. More march speed, that's great. Again, march speed is march speed. I imagine you'll need to get one of the march speeds move forward, and then we get healing tech again. Now these next couple are interesting. We have something called Celestial Guidance. I've never seen Celestial Guidance before, ever. But it does have the handshake, which I believe we've actually seen the handshake photo before with Cultural Exchange. So maybe we have another Cultural Exchange bonus that's going to increase favor again. But what's interesting about this is the level here is 0 for 3, which is odd. So I'm curious about what this is. Let me know in the comment section. What do you guys think Celestial Guidance is? I'm intrigued. I'm not sure. And then it looks like we have more defense stats. And these are, again, probably going to be inaccessible for most because Surprise Strike is the final tech within the tree. So again, whales are getting more defense and more health stats. So I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried that the whales that max their tech are going to have a lot more advantage. Either this is going to be defense stats, which I think it is, or it's going to be all damage stats because we did see the all damage buff go away. So maybe this is an all damage bonus for each specific troop type. That would be odd, but it could be. It would explain why we have the same avatar for all four. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And more importantly, if we think this is a good thing. For me, I think there are some real benefits here. Being able to get more troops earlier is nice. Being able to move forward my tech tree without having to invest in siege tech is nice. However, I'm worried that they've made the tech tree much larger. So if we go back to our existing tech tree here, you start here, you move forward, you've got tier 1 of stats, and then you've got, really this is the first tier. We're going to call this tier 1 of stats. And then you have tier 2 of stats, and that's it. In the new tech tree, there's a lot more stats to be getting. And that's what makes me really nervous. Because if we go over here, you have tier 1 of stats, tier 2 of stats, then you have this all damage thing, or maybe all damage thing at the end. You've got a lot more levels, such that if you do want to run multiple troop types, they've actually made it more expensive because of the march speed bonus and because there's just more stats altogether. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. Did they fix Crystal Tech or did they just make it worse? And if you've enjoyed, drop a like on the video and hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right hand corner, and hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. Thank you all. Shappy out.